Hey everyone, so this is going to be a follow-up to a video I recorded a few days ago where I was discussing Square Enix and their attempts at reviving older franchises for Nintendo Switch. And throughout the course of recording that video, I was getting really nostalgic at all of the older franchises that I would love to see make an appearance again. And there was one series in particular that, for whatever reason, with how much I've talked about this game in the past, I did not mention it in the video at all. And I honestly think that's the biggest disservice that I can do for the game. And that title is, of course, The World Ends With You. So what I decided to do with this video is literally just turn on the camera and ramble nonstop about this game because there's so much to discuss. A lot of interesting things as well. A lot of things that we've been hoping and praying and dreaming about we might be hearing very soon. So first and foremost, I gotta point this out because it just shocked me when I saw it. We are in the 10th anniversary for The World Ends With You. Yes. From the original Japanese release date in 2007, 10 years later, here we are. And it is so funny because I remember looking back on one of my posts that I made on Facebook from 5 years ago. I opened up Time Hop and I just saw it right there. And it was basically a World Ends With You appreciation post. I was talking about how much I love the game and how I would love to see a sequel. I believe this was a little after the original 3DS came out. So you can see how far ago this was. Argo, great movie. But yeah, it was just insane because that post was done 5 years ago, and now here we are 5 years later with another appreciation post of some sort. We've upgraded. We've gone from text to straight video. 1080p. Yeah, still not 4K though, but who knows, maybe in the future. With that game, it was just so baffling to me why the game didn't get a sequel. I mean, as a person who played the game and loved the game, I understand realistically, like, numerous reasons why the game wouldn't get a sequel, you know, from a narrative standpoint and also from a commercial standpoint. It was at a really weird junction point because, you know, it was one of those weird games that appeared on the original DS. The DS had a great freaking library. It was so overshadowed with how many great games there were. You know, not only did you have the amazing Nintendo titles, but you had every Japanese developer under the sun working on it. They were putting out their own games for it. And when you have a game that's a new IP, and not only is it a new IP, but it is an original game, it's not like the traditional norm of the Japanese RPG. Yeah, this was before the time where people could do YouTube videos and you can give out promotional material to YouTubers so they can hype up your game. If you really wanted to know about these games, you'd have to read up on it and you'd have to see, because social media back in the day was nowhere near where it is now. Like, these are back in the days where you had to download trailers for video games if you wanted to get the best quality. YouTube really wasn't a thing. I mean, it was there. You could watch videos, but the extent that exists now for advertising and videos, it just, there's no comparison between the two. So I found out about the game, thankfully, through some advertisements, and I freaking loved it, man. I loved playing it, and I just loved how unique the game was. I know you're gonna hear this a lot about a lot of games that appeared on the Nintendo DS, but it was so true. With The World Ends With You, this really wasn't a game that you can get on another system. You could not play this on the Nintendo Wii. You couldn't play it on the Xbox. You couldn't play it on the PlayStation because it relied heavily on the touchscreen capabilities, the dual screen of the original DS, that it really made you go, hey, this is a great exclusive for the DS. I'm not just playing a portable version of something I played on the console. I am playing something that really fits at home with this ecosystem. And I really got to give it up for Square Enix. As far as, like, let's just talk about the design aesthetics for The World Ends With You. Like, that game, and Square Enix in general, kind of gets a bad rap. I mean, they deserve it for a lot of their character designs, especially here recently. I mean, I love the series to death, but Kingdom Hearts, some of those character designs, like, yo, zippers on zippers on zippers. The zipper game is crazy, and the spiky hair here and the spiky hair there. It's like, how do you... Yukimoto gets tips from these guys on how to style his hair, you know what I'm saying? But with The World Ends With You, even though it's got the Square Enix isms, I love the aesthetic for it. Like, this was Persona 5 before Persona 5. You know how P5 is the big game this year in terms of design aesthetics and how flashy and stylish it is? That was The World Ends With You 10 years ago. You know, from a music standpoint, from character designs to just everything in the world. It was so beautiful. And mind you, this is on the original Nintendo DS. Not the 3DS, not the Vita, not the Switch. The original DS. yes, man. So what they were able to pull off with that system was very surprising. And I just kind of knew from the jump that this game was going to be good because it was coming from the guys who made Kingdom Hearts. I'm not talking about Square Enix as a whole. I'm talking about the guys who made Kingdom Hearts, the guys who made the main games, the guys who made the Chain of Memories game. Those people working on it. So just in terms of creativity, ingenuity, how different it was such a big part of why I loved the original DS. And I think it really fits well with that creative mindset Square had in the 80s and the 90s. And not just Square, but all the other RPG creators that they acquired into their stable since then. It really feels like one of those games, a game that would stand the test of time. When you look back at the games that were notable for the system, this game, hopefully, is one of them. So that game came out. I don't think it really did that well in terms of financial success. I mean, comparing sales figures from 10 years ago, sales figures from now is a different conversation entirely. But I didn't really notice too many folks talking about The World's Ends with You outside of the people who knew about it and wouldn't stop gushing over it. You know what I'm saying? I think there is a stigma when it comes to card-based games, tactical games on handhelds, that just the recommendations you give to people, they're just kind of like, ooh, no, I'd much rather play a traditional Japanese RPG, a turn-based RPG, and not something weird. It's like, what do you people want? Japanese RPGs need to evolve. They need to do stuff different, but then we shun titles like The World Ends With You for doing something different. And it's actually good. That's always been a big pet peeve of mine when it comes to people and how they just ignore recommendations because of really trivial things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this isn't a Chain of Memories, for example. It really isn't. It's actually a spiritual successor to Chain of Memories, and it really works in that case. But since then, there hasn't been much love for The World Ends With You. Square Enix has been kind of quiet about the game. I can't say series now because there isn't a series, but it's so easy to say series because series, you know? It did get some love, however, in Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. Neku and his pals were support characters in the story, so you're able to see them and see how their, you know, interactions with Sora made for a more enjoyable Kingdom Hearts experience. I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts crossover, so you know there's not that much weight to it. You're only playing it just to see the characters interact with Sora. That's it. It's a superficial thing. It has nothing really to do with the overall story. But it was awesome seeing Neku. I really wish that they incorporated like more of his world and the things happening with that. But again, this was on the Nintendo 3DS, so the limitations of the hardware really didn't permit them to go out of their way to make too many worlds. But not only that, we also got ports of the game onto not the 3DS, but the mobile phones, so on iOS and Android. And I remember there was a lot of heat. I think I actually gave them some heat for the price of it. I think when they came out, they were like $20-something, like some crazy price, which honestly, looking back, for the time, yeah, that was an issue because there were all these mobile phone games coming out for like $199, $299, $399, and then you had something like the Square Enix titles, which were $999, $1499, $1999, and back then they just seemed like such a big issue. But looking forward into the future, that honestly is not a bad price, especially considering we have devices like the Switch that you can get full console quality handheld games on the go. $17.99 for a game like The World Ends With You on your phone is really not an issue, you know what I'm saying? Now, I didn't get a chance to play the mobile phone version for it because, to be honest, I'm not the biggest proponent of mobile phone gaming. Even if it's something I like, even if it's something that's well optimized for the phone, it's just like, I don't know, man. When I'm out and about and I only have my phone, I'd much rather be going on social media than playing a game. If I want to play a game, I really have to sit down and enjoy it. You know, that's why I have the console games when I can play it at home. That's why I have the Nintendo Switch, so I can play it on my lunch break with an extended amount of time. Mobile phone stuff for me, it's like I'm never in an opportunity where I have that much time to whip out my phone and get invested into a game. It's easy for me to, you know, pay attention to my surroundings and scroll through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. But for something like The World Ends With You or playing something similar to Dragon Quest, I'd much rather just be absorbed, put my headphones on. I know y'all know what I'm talking about when I'm referring to getting invested in a game and why mobile phone games are just not, you know, whatever. But they were available on the phones. I know a couple of people who were introduced to them for the first time and really enjoyed them. They have a new graphical style, so they've upped the visuals in high definition. They did a lot of tweaks to the game itself. I mean, they had to, because you're going from a dual screen setup on the Nintendo DS to just a single screen on smartphones. So of course there were going to be some caveats there. I can't speak to how much the changes in the Solo HD remix affected the actual game, but people seem to enjoy it, so that's pretty good in my book, I guess. And it always got me thinking, okay, if they can do this, why in the world can't they go forward with the sequel? I mean, they already got the base assets. Why can't they do something with this? Why can't they port the HD version to the 3DS? Why can't they port it to, I don't know, the Wii U? If they put that thing on the Wii U, that would have been... Oh, it wouldn't have made me buy the console, but it would have given me more incentive to potentially hitting up a friend and borrowing the Wii U. You know what I'm saying? So it just sucked that it just remained dormant, even though there were so many good platforms where it could have found new life and we could have gotten new installments. And here we are in 2017, and we've gotten some really interesting news. Now, mind you, this is a rumor. This is not concrete by any stretch of the imagination. This isn't me saying that The World Ends With You 2 is confirmed. There are some talks within the industry of Square Enix potentially doing something with The World Ends With You. Now, whether that is a high-definition port for Nintendo Switch or a new game entirely, we don't know. But there are some talks about it potentially coming out. Like I said, these are rumors, so take it with the biggest grain of salt possible. But it's still nice to know that people are indeed talking about it. And who knows, maybe they will go forward with an HD version of The World Ends With You on Switch. Because if they do that, listen, I know I talk about the Switch tax, games being more expensive on the console, but if they were to put The World Ends With You Switch out, and that thing was $39.99, I would buy that day one. I would. I do not even care. Like, seriously, The World Ends With You is one of those games that is like ride or die. Provided Square Enix doesn't do some crazy updated microtransaction nonsense, I would so pick that game up. Seriously, man. Or something similar to it. Maybe not A World Ends With You, but The World Ends Anew or whatever. I don't care. I want to play this again, man. So that's basically my rambling video on The World Ends With You. Such a good game, man. Such a good game. And, you know, who knows, man? Maybe we might see it again. Let's have hope. Let's have faith. We could get another tactics game. Another tactics game would be amazing. Man. Or another Advance Wars. Oh, God. We are going to be here all day, so I'm going to end the video now. For me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out. Like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.